Hey everyone, so I'm back. So there's this thing called mise en place. Mise en place or mise en place. It's French, so I really believe we should be saying mise en place. And what that means is being organized and having everything you need together so you can easily reach for it. That's kind of what I'm doing here, while keeping an eye on my boil back here. We're just about ready to drop our stuff in there, but we're not quite there yet. So my grandmother, if you're from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, many of you knew her, heard of her, and her name was Marty Elsie. And very well known for being a school teacher. But she used to make bread pudding. I actually normally do not like bread pudding. But I said, you know what? I'm going to try to make some for my family. She used to go to Sunbeam there in Salisbury. I don't even know if that's still there. But basically what they would do is you could go there and you could buy their bread, their donuts, any pastry you wanted when it was going to go bad. Or if we already had some leftover Krispy Kreme at the house, she would use that to make her bread pudding. What I'm using here is a vanilla brioche. And also, I don't know if you noticed, if you keep your bread in a dark, dry, cool place, it actually lasts longer. When it is exposed to the sun, it molds faster. So I keep mine in a box covered with a standard black plastic bag, also referred to as a trash bag, just so that no sunlight gets to my bread. And it lasts so much longer. Now, we're using mainly brioche here. One whole loaf. I thought I was going to use some potato bread also, but I actually think this is going to prove to be enough on its own. Funny when things happen like that. You're going to tear it up with your hands, or if you're using sliced brioche, you'll need to like do more of a cutting kind of thing. And what my grandmother always did overnight was let it soak in the milk and the sugar and the cinnamon. So that's what I'm about to do also. Adjust this cast iron for my polenta, see if we can get more of an even boil here so we can get that going. But you see it, right? It's lovely, isn't it? Nice, nice, nice. I was going to also actually mix in some potato bread, but I don't think we're going to need it. So now what we're going to do is, the things you're going to need for my recipe: sugar, some vanilla extract, some actual real molasses, and some cinnamon sugar, which I didn't realize I was so low on. Nutmeg. And because I'm discovering we are so low on the powdered cinnamon, we're going to also use some of this cinnamon extract, but not too much. It's pretty powerful. All right? See, I was supposed to have all my stuff together, and actually, I would have if I didn't have to do this extra step now, because I'm just realizing how low I am on actual normal cinnamon. So, I am going to bring you guys with me real quick. I think we got enough of boil now that we are going to start putting in our cornmeal here to make our polenta. First cup, and you want to whisk as you pour it in. Alright. Whisk it like you need. I'm just trying not to splash my stove, but yeah, to break up the clumps and stuff, you really do need to kind of give this some force. Turn the heat down. We're getting too high now. heat is getting way too high. Sorry for the scraping sound. I'm gonna grab just a little more. Okay, so we're gonna cover it and just let it do its thing for a few minutes. Here, you're gonna need to stir it ever so often so it doesn't scorch and stick to the bottom. That is important. I'm gonna seal this back up, put it back in my cabinet. I had to restart the video because I just had a wardrobe malfunction. It appears that one of my bosoms decided to pop outside of my pajamas while I was filming that. So yeah, we had to get rid of that. Hopefully I don't lose too much of it in the editing, but if you hear where it seems like I stopped talking and the verbiage doesn't make any sense, that's why. Just letting you know ahead of time, because I can't give you that kind of show, folks. Alright, so just want to clean up any mess you might have made. Alright. So while that is doing what it does on low, we are going to go back over here to where we were with this bread pudding. Alright. Went through all of that. Got the polenta going. And now what we are going to do, I would prefer to have a bowl. That's what I was about to do before I kind of interrupted myself to go deal with that again. Forgive me. Bear with me one more time. My regular mixing bowl already has something in it, so we're going to use my mixing bowl for my mixer. And here's how we're going to do this. So, I'm going to add some buttermilk. A little bit here. 2 cups for good measure. I hate the smell of buttermilk, but it works so good. But yes, I go on record saying I hate the smell of it. Put this back. Put the milk back. Sorry, folks. I'm coming right back. See, I'm going to stir my polenta mixture here. What I'm going to do is turn that heat completely off. And we're going to let that just kind of puff up on its own, because it is actually soft enough already. That's what happens if you got your pan up high enough. We're going to slide it off of the burner so it does not continue to really sit on that heat and possibly stick to the bottom. So, part 1 of tonight's journey down. Back to this. Had to get my whisk again. So, we're going to pour in just a little bit of molasses here to our mixture. Molasses is so messy, but it's so good, isn't it? I'm definitely going to clean up this mess. Alright, just get a good amount of molasses in there, but not too much, you know, somewhere in moderation. Alright, set that away to the side. I have wet wipes right here, I'm going to say, because when things are sticky and smell sweet like that, I don't care what it is, ants, anything, just, you might start a problem. So, I'm always super careful to clean up things like that as we go. Get that off my table. Because, yeah, that drippage went everywhere. I see it. Alright, got our molasses cleaned up. Like I said, you want to put this back in your fridge. Now, this is just the soak. I want to make sure I explain that to you because tomorrow you're going to see me add another wet batch before this is actually ready to go into the oven and cook. So now what we're going to do is half a tablespoon. If I can even get this open. Bear with me. Half a tablespoon of this really poignant, strong smelling cinnamon extract. All right, that should be all you need of that in there, definitely. Okay, wipe that off good. And put this back up so I can find it for other cooking. And the spoon scared the crap out of me just then. All right. I should have kept my cup thing over here, but it's going to be all right. We just going to kind of free pour this sugar now. Get it in here. Be generous, because you want at least half a cup to a cup of the sugar in there. You are making a pudding. It needs to be sweet. That should be plenty. All right. I like to keep things like this that stuff can get into in a Ziploc bag. So I'm just going to set it in here with some of my flowers. These guys will make their appearance again tomorrow. Both of them. One for fresh pasta and one to finish off this lovely. Also got my yeast in there for making pizzas and things. Trying to get them all to play together here in this bag together. Not necessarily the best fit in the world, but hey, hopefully it works. Sit this over here. Actually, I'm just going to put a different bag over it because that is not fitting at all. Okay, that is much better. Okay. Again, sorry for all my little disappearances. Okay, and next up, just a little nutmeg. I'd say about half a teaspoon or a whole teaspoon, depending on how you want it to taste. And finally, I'm gonna say 2 cupfuls of vanilla extract. All right. Keep in mind, put my fingers off here and my table. Keep in mind, this is like, just imagine this. This is just the silk. Sorry, I keep walking away. I like to put things in the sink as I go. So now what we're going to do, let me show you what you've got here. It's thick because it's buttercream and molasses in there. You want to just whisk it like you mean it. Tomorrow we'll be doing a very similar process, only with the egg added before we get ready to bake it. Tonight I'm just going to cover this up and put it in my fridge. Okay. You want to pour that in there. Get it all in there. Every last drop of it if you can. Alright. And you want to put soap in the mixing bowl so this stuff does not get sticky and stick in there. And then I'm just going to sit this off somewhere to soak for tonight. And just kind of want to take and toss all of this around in this yummy, yummy mixture that you created here. And it'll all be soaked in so beautifully by morning. Oh, it's going to be so good. And actually, in the morning when it soaks, you don't have to be more wet because this is pretty wet. So at that point, all you really need to do is beat the eggs in. And I'm going to use passion fruit as my fruit topping layer on this. So, voila. We have the starting point of this. It will be glazed tomorrow with a mixture of brown sugar, passion fruit, and white light Karo syrup is how I'm going to make that. And something just fell. You gotta love it when that happens, don't you? Alright, so I'm about to cover this and put it in my fridge, and I'll be back later to show you how the polenta's coming along. I'm going to put it in the oven now, in the skillet, and let it bake for a while till it gets a nice golden brown on top, so that tomorrow I'll be able to cut it into my rings. Thank you, and I'll see you in the morning. We just talk about how beautiful it is. Look at this fucking bread pudding. Ooh, it's gonna be delicious. The toppings for it are finished. The only real things I gotta do now for dinner are my pasta and my octopus, and they don't take that long, so we're just kind of chilling right now. But just look at that. Ooh wee.